Hi guys, this is Lashette from Scarlet Moon Creations, and I'm back with my final recent reads, my final reading wrap-up of 2021. This is my December wrap-up. It's been a while. I had COVID and wasn't too bad because I am vaccinated, but bad enough that I didn't feel like doing a lot of things like filming or updating my spreadsheet or anything like that. So sorry for the lateness of this. December was a lot even before I got COVID, but I got it in the last week. So and then I've just been catching up on all the videos I had planned to have already been released in December. So after this, you will be getting my end of the year stuff or bookish content, my least favorite, most disappointing, most surprising, and favorite books of 2021, my either, I'll call it superlatives or book awards for 2021, and if I can make it through to that, my bookish stats wrap up. That being said, I have read a total of 7 books just in this last half of the month, and since that's a lot to talk about, let's jump right in, because first and foremost, since this is a monthly wrap up, I gotta tell you the reading stats for the month. So, for the month of December, I read a total of 13 books. That is my new monthly high. Like, monthly high. Yes, there's a lot of manga, some graphic novels in there, but they count, so whatever. Total pages read 3,018. My average rating was 4.16. No new books acquired. I'm not going to talk about library books because I didn't fill out that section of the spreadsheet, so I have no idea. Just know that every book I read is a library book this month, and I did pretty good because some of these I actually got in the month. So, and 3 of the books I read were owned voices. Let's jump right in with my genres. I read 3 epic high fantasy books, 3 contemporary romance, 1 historical romance, 1 sword and sorcery fantasy, 1 slice of life, 1 pagan book, and 3 dystopian. For the formats, I read 2 ebooks and 11 physical books. For forms, I read 4 novels, 1 novella, 5 manga, 3 graphic novels. For the audience, I read 11 adult books and 1 young adult book. 1 is not accounted for, and you'll see why in a second. Let's get into the identity section. For the gender identity, I read 9 books with cisgender main characters, 3 books with gender queer main characters. For race, I read 2 books with Asian main characters, 1 book with a black main character, 5 books with mixed main characters, and 4 books with white main characters. For the sexual identity, I read 1 book that was female love female and 1 book with male love male main characters. For the authors, I read 4 books by new to me authors and 9 books by not new to me authors. For the types, I read 12 series and 1 standalone. And last but not least, the ratings. I had 2 5-star reads, 3 4.5-star reads, 5 4-star reads, 1 3.5-star read, 1 3-star read, and 1 DNF. So, those are my stats. A pretty damn good reading month. I love that for me. And this was not me trying to pad my year by reading a bunch of manga or comics or graphic novels at the end of the year in a rush. I just realized certain things that I needed to stay out of a reading slump. So, since I have so many books to talk about, let's jump into it right now. But the next book I finished in the month of December was The Duke and I by Quinn. Finally, I've read book 1 in the Bridgerton series. This is the historical romance I was talking about. Obviously, I read this physically. I got the book from my library. I also accidentally got some wax on it, but that'll come off. I've been wanting to read this since, I heard that there was going to be a Netflix show. I have not watched the Netflix show because I wanted to read this. And the wait list when the season came out was ridiculous, so I gave up. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I gave it 4.5 stars. With this book, the backdrop is basically Regency, England, London to be specific, for the most part, and there's the Bridgerton family. They are part of the Ton, and Daphne, the oldest daughter, I believe, has just come of age to be able to go out and be a part of the Ton and find herself a man to be married. But actually, she hasn't just come of age, but recently, and she's been doing the whole ball circuit and whatnot, and she has a lot of friends and lots of guys like her, but they see her as more of a friend or a sister than marriage material. On the hero side, or the man side, I don't like using hero and heroine, I realize, and I just don't. But we have the Duke of Hastings, the new Duke of Hastings, Simon, who has been away traveling the world, the seas, and avoiding his father, who has recently passed away. Now he has returned and is not used to the marriage mart, which is all of these young ladies and their moms looking for the eligible bachelor that will do well for them. And so he feels kind of floundering in this. He is a friend of Daphne, one of Daphne's brothers, I think the eldest. I don't remember his name. But so they meet and they hit it off, and it goes from there. It's a romance, so there's a happily ever after and whatnot. I enjoyed this, not in small measure because of the Bridgerton family. There are 7 of them, I think, and they run the gamut in age. I think the youngest is 10, and the oldest son is 20-something. I think he's 29. He might be turning 30. I don't know. Right? And they have a range of personalities, and the father is deceased, and there's just the mother. So the oldest son is the head of household, and they get along. There's lots of in-jokes between the siblings. There's bickering. There's stupid conversations that just only family has. And in the midst of this falls Simon, who is an only child, who has basically been neglected by his father for reasons that I won't get into because of spoilers. But I love that. I love the relationship between Simon and Daphne, because in the beginning it's very friendly. So this is kind of a friends to lovers, and very amusing, very enjoyable. Not 5 stars because I feel like Simon's reasons for not getting married were stupid. But not his reasons. Yes, his reasons. Let me keep it 100. I feel like what happened with his childhood, with his father, completely understandable. But really, Daphne needed to smack some sense into him. There is a trigger warning for rape in this, and I had forgotten. This is not a violent, graphic rape. It is on the page, and it is with our main characters. Daphne essentially forces Simon to have sex with her when he has repeatedly said no. And while he is inebriated, and not fully awake even. So yes, that is rape. That is rape. That is sexual assault. Not 100% happy with how it was dealt with, but I do understand, because I feel like what we got was Simon expressing the fact that he felt more hurt and traumatized by something else than that in that whole scene, but he was not appreciative of what she did, and she did apologize, and he accepted it. So we accept. I can't accept her apology for him or not. So that also is why it's not 5 stars. So that was just like, really, girl? But yeah, so read this. I'm ready to read book 2. I made the mistake of watching episode 1 of the Netflix show, and they've clearly changed some things. They've rearranged some timelines. I really didn't like how Simon and Daphne were adversaries. Like, they're not adversaries, but there was more like a hate to love thing than a friends to love, and I missed that completely. The difference from the book. But I feel like, yeah, I know more than I should. The next book I finished was book 2 of My Brother's Husband by Gengoroh Tagame, and this is the final volume, so I finished the series. And this is a translated graphic manga, by a Japanese author. The translator is An Ishii. I didn't mention that when I read the first one because I forgot to look. But I read this physical copy that I got from the library. It's continuing the story. It's a slice of life manga, essentially, and LGBT plus. My brother's husband, obviously. So this story, we are following Yaichi, who lives in Japan, who has a brother who married a Canadian man, Mike, and he hadn't seen his brother, but the brother passed away, and Mike comes to visit the only family that his husband has left, Yaichi and his daughter, and in Japan. Mike has never been to Japan before, and he winds up staying with Yaichi, and Yaichi is going through it, dealing with homophobia and his beliefs and all of that stuff. So this continued to be calm yet poignant, continued to have great lovely moments, and also some sad parts and some small upsetting points where you come across homophobia with other people. Yaichi is very introspective. I find it interesting also. There's more thought that he has about what makes a family, and in a different aspect than like Mike and his brother, but how his relationship with his ex-wife and his daughter works. You could see like his mind sees a little bit differently now, a little bit more positive, even though they're not together still. We meet an old friend of the brothers who is also gay, and that was an interesting, tense moment twice. And yeah, there was no like, we're leading up to this kind of plot. Like, it's just okay. But how this ends is Mike goes home because his vacation is over, and they agree to visit again. Either they come to Canada or Mike comes back to Japan, and the daughter continues to be absolutely adorable. So I really enjoyed this. 4 stars. Loved it. I do want to read more Gengoroh Tagame's manga, but like I said last time, it'll be spicier from what I heard. So, the next book I finished in the month of December was one I've been reading all year. The Witch's Herbal Apothecary. This is by Maryia Miernowska. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that. But it's rituals and recipes for a year of earth magic and sacred medicine making. I heard about this book through Boho Tarot. One of her monthly wrap-ups, she talked about this book. I know she has said often that she has a very seasonal practice for witchcraft, and I was curious, and I saw it was the library had it, so I requested it. And it's not very highly requested, so I was able to keep this for most of the year. I got it, I think just after the spring equinox, so in March, mid to late March, which worked out very well. So this is an herbal book, but also a ritual book, basically. And Maryia runs an herbal school in California, and so she does all of this stuff. It's very pagan leaning. This is not without a spiritual aspect to it. I'm going to give a more in-depth video of this book at some point because it deserves its own video. But there are 3 sections: weaving yourself back into the great web, which basically goes over how, at least here in the United States in general, like there are 4 seasons, and how you can look for the goddess, the earth mother, and that kind of thing in your life. Then there's the Witch's Herbal Apothecary, which goes through each season: spring, summer, fall, and winter. That's why I said I got the book at just the right time. And then part 3 is 1 chapter called The Great Healing. And the beginning gives you some basic stuff about how to use the book, the wheel of the year, the seasons, moon phases, and the archetypes of the goddess, how to use the book, and then things like what's a witch, what's a green witch, that kind of thing. Some basic stuff that you can use throughout while you do the other practices in the book, like creating sacred space and that kind of thing. Then for each of the other sections, let me find it. The Herbal Apothecary section, right? They each start off with the correspondences for the season. So spring corresponds with the east in general here, the element of air, what moon phase, the months of spring, holidays, archetypes, energies, and then the herbs you can use, some recipes, you can do rituals, that kind of thing. And you get that for every single season. I really enjoyed it, the different activities and the recipes or medicine making, as she calls it sometimes. And also, and so when I picked this up and I realized, hey, I got it just in time for spring, I decided I'm going to do this throughout the whole year. I definitely would like to get my own copy, but I'm okay with continuing to request it from the library since no one else really knows about it or needs it from the library anyway. She says that in the beginning, you do not have to be assigned a woman at birth, to read this book, to take in its practices. Know that this is not a cut and dry herbal. This is about being a witch and practicing witchcraft with herbs and with the earth and with the goddess archetypes. So keep that in mind. I don't personally follow all of the correspondences that she put forth, but that's easily overcome if it needs to be overcome, easily changed for your personal practice, I believe. I gave that book 4 stars. So the next book I finished in the month of December was Monstress, Volume 5, Warchild. So this one, I read the physical copy from my library, obviously. I'm thinking about getting the special editions from Barnes & Noble now that I know they exist, because the artwork is absolutely amazing. Like, amazing. So there's only one more volume of this out. I'm almost done. But I'm not going to rush to read Volume 6 until I know when Volume 7 may be on its way. So I'll probably do a reread of this before then. This is an epic fantasy series that has it's like alternate history elements, particularly alternate Asian history, and it's kind of historical because I believe it's set in the early 1900s. The backdrop of this world where there are basically humans, arcanics, and the cats, which I honestly can never for the life of me remember the name of their race. But arcanics are like hybrids, I guess you would call them. They are part human, part animal, and it quite often sucks to be them. But they are not all one faction either, and I think that's what took me a while to really understand. The same with the humans. Not all humans are the same, of the same faction. There are various countries, and the politics within each nation is a little bit different, and so there are regular people, whether they be humans or arcanics or the cats, and these are not regular cats. As we know them, these cats have several tales. There was a very poignant history moment that connected the cats in here with the cats that we know as pets, and that was very sad. So the most recent war, Micah grew up in as a child, and her mom disappeared. And in the first volume, we're following Micah, who is a teenager, as she tries to look for her mother. In that war, she was in a situation where somehow she wound up having creatures put into her body. In the beginning, Micah has no idea what's going on with her, what happened with her mother, and she starts realizing there's a lot of people that are looking for her for reasons she doesn't really understand. So we go through this whole story with all of this stuff happening, and Micah just trying to survive. This is really the first book where I feel like Micah really is more grounded, like, and confident in herself, but also in certain people around her that maybe she could trust. She'll never say that she'll trust them, but she's showing more emotion for them, because she keeps a lot to herself, and she's also, I think, more confident about the thing within her, but also done with the bullshit from literally everyone else. And this is definitely my favorite so far. I gave it 4 stars, and I can't wait to see more. My favorite character continues to be cute, but also has become more confident and more action-oriented as well. So I'm very happy. And some things are starting to make more sense with other people, other factions in the world. So I was just generally happy with that. That is for adults. It's very violent. There are some sexual scenes, and yeah, lots of violence. So the next book I finished was White Sand Volume 3. I said, you know what, let's just do this. There's 3 volumes. Let's finish the Cosmere as currently printed right here, right now. And I did it. Another series complete as published. There might be more volumes of this coming. This felt like an ending. And with that being said, I'm kind of disappointed, because what was the point of this series in the first place? I don't know. This is how it ended. This is a graphic novel series by Brandon Sanderson, the only one I think he has. So there's that. It says T for teen, so I'm gonna say YA, because it definitely has that feel to it. In the first volume, we're following Kenton and the Sand Masters. We're on a planet where half of it is always in daylight and the other half is always in night. On dayside, there are these people with the magical ability of controlling sand, the Sand Mages. And we start the story seeing Kenton basically forcing his father to allow him to become a Sand Master, Sand Mage. And by allowing him to go through the final test that all Sand Masters are put through, even though Kenton really doesn't have much ability at all. So this is a very dangerous test, and with some ingenuity, he passes it, even though his father, who is the leader, does not appreciate that. In the middle of this, ceremony congratulating all the newest Sand Masters, another peoples from the dayside, they attack the Sand Masters en masse and catch them in a vulnerable time, and most of them are killed. Kenton wakes up the next day and realizes he's the only Sandmaster left. He gets saved by some Darksiders who are visiting, particularly the Duchess, who is looking for her missing husband, who came to Dayside to find these magic users, though she doesn't know what kind of magic they have. Kenton thinks he no longer has Sand Mastery, so he doesn't mention it. And once they find a town, they go their separate ways. Kenton to find out that the overarching government of Dayside has decided to dissolve the Sandmaster since there's none left. And meanwhile, the Duchess and her entourage find out where the Sandmasters stay. She goes there, and voila, there's Kenton, the new leader of the Sandmasters. The story continues from there. This wasn't a bad ending. There were some things I wasn't expecting to happen here, but, you know, we're rooting for Kenton and the Sandmasters, so it's okay, I guess. But also, like, why? I feel like there could be more. And so I hope this is not the end, because it was meh. Compared to literally every other Brandon Sanderson series I've read, complete and incomplete, this is a letdown. I think that this being in a graphic novel form somehow took away from a lot of the foreshadowing and the plot building that Sanderson is known for being very good at. And FYI, we went back to the original art style from the first book and most of the second. I gave this 3.5 stars. It's done. I don't mind having read it. The magic system is interesting, but I'm moving on. Now, I've told you every book I've read in chronological order, like I usually do, except for the last 2, because they are both part of the same series, which I've now completed. This one I've been reading for a couple of years now, and I knew I wanted to finish it, but I wasn't sure if I would get the last volume. It became available in December at my library, and then I was able to get the copy to me a few days before the year ended. So I have finished Attack on Titan by Hajime Isayama. This is going to be one of my favorite series of all time, point blank, period. I'm not sure yet, but definitely top 2 manga, point blank, period. I just have to really think about Naruto, particularly Shippuden. So, that being said, I'm going to talk about these together. I attempted, I didn't film this in time to be able to talk about this separately, so together they shall go. This is volumes 33 and 34, and the end of the series. This is the last one. I can now watch all the parts of season 4 of the anime. This was a really good ending. A very good ending. This one is longer than usual. I think Isayama said, let's be done. This series, where we start is not where we end. Or is it? This series, we're in a kind of dystopian world where these people are stuck in these towns behind these huge walls that protect them from the danger outside. The danger outside the walls are the Titans. Titans are these very huge humanoid-looking beings with no thoughts, no feelings, but to eat. And what do they eat? They eat regular people. And that is why this is an adult series, because of the graphic violence and gore. On the page and in the anime, you see Titans eat people. Sometimes not whole. Sometimes they fight over them. They are like rabid animals. And you see it all. So in this world, we follow Eren and his two best friends. In the beginning, they are living behind the wall, the outermost wall. One day, the Colossal Titan comes, and it's called the Colossal because it's bigger than the walls, never seen before. Comes and kicks a hole in the outermost wall, which lets in all the regular Titans, which come and eat people. Some people escape, but Eren and his friends see their parents eaten. And so now these traumatized children who somehow escaped get to behind the next innermost wall, and they decide to join the Survey Corps, which is the part of the military that leaves the towns. They go past the walls to survey, to learn about Titans, to figure out why they are like this, where they are coming from, and how to kill them. And their jobs are very dangerous, as you can imagine, and it's not for everybody, but the three of them join the Survey Corps, and the cast expands from there. The story continues from there. As you know, once we got to, I think, volume 31, I was like, I don't like where this is going. And I'm saying it like that because it's not badly written, it's just me complaining, whining, because this is not what I wanted. I know I'm not the only one who felt that way, because it's really hard when the people you're rooting for go bad. So, and that's a really general way of putting it, actually. So don't take anything from that. The ending, I'm just gonna say, because I can't distinguish between the story of what's in this one and what's in this one. How this ended, I enjoyed both of these. I gave both of them 5 stars. This ended the best way that it could, and most naturally, and very understandably. Human beings are still going to be human beings. And while some things were changed, a lot of things are still the same, unfortunately, and that is completely real and realistic. I was really unsure how Isayama was gonna wrap this up. Like, how? And this is really the only way, and it's written and drawn in such a good way. One of the things I absolutely loved about this series is the artwork. Let me find something that's not spoilery. See, like, even the action scenes really give you movement, and that's hard. It's really rare. The cover for this is just heartbreaking. I knew it was going to be heartbreaking, and I sobbed, of course, at the end of this. Not the end, but the end. Also, what was really, really cool, so at the back of all of these, we've had this alternate story, which a lot of manga do. It's the same characters, but in a completely different setting. So this has been them at this school. It's Attack on School Cast or whatever. And there's been some really weird things going on in that setting with the same characters. And it's always cool to see the characters in different clothing. So I've been enjoying that, but it's like for funsies. But even that was wrapped up really nicely in this. So, oh my god. Like the action, chef's kiss, the relationships, the drama, the emotion. Chef's kiss. So I cannot wait to watch season 4. I haven't watched any of season 4, you guys. None. I know part 2 or part 3, I don't know, whatever, came out. I'm filming this like a week into January. So I know it came out and a couple of days ago, and I'm so ready to watch because the voice actors do so good. The animators, the action gets better, and it's really good in print form. So anyway, I cannot wait to finish watching this and see all of this. in 3D, whatever. So yeah, do check out this series if you can deal with the violence and gore and what looks like giant people eating little people constantly. That is how I ended my year. I was determined to finish this. I finished volume 34 on December 31st. Y'all, I was determined. And I'm accomplished. So, my December was really a good reading month. How did your December go? What books did you read? What were your favorite books for December? Have you read Attack on Titan or White Sand? Those are the ones I really like the polarizing differences. Leave me a book emoji if you've gotten this far. And like this video if you liked it. Subscribe if you are new. Hit that notification bell so you know when my 2021 wrap-up videos start coming out, because they will come back to back. And thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.